Karl, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. We're going to meet in a couple of weeks in Riyadh. You're going to talk about like e-commerce, the future of tech and AI. And that's what we are talking about today. The welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. Before I tell our audience something wrong, please introduce yourself. What are you doing all the day and why are you here?
Great. Thank you for having me in the podcast. And I look forward to meeting you in Saudi. It's going to be an amazing event. I personally see myself as a helping hand. I make sure that companies overcome growth constraints and optimize their way of working with smart solutions, not only artificial intelligence, but there is so much more to it. And in some instances, we get stuck in a situation where we really don't know how to use these new innovative solutions. And that makes us, in one way or another, afraid, which makes it difficult for us to progress. So I help organizations overcome these situations, even really complicated situations where there are risks in how we treat data and so on.
But how would you then help organizations to understand what is important and what's not important? Let me give you one example, because in the last 2 years we had a couple of trends: cryptocurrencies, Web 3.0, metaverse, where I was super skeptical because I didn't see the use case. Interesting technologies, but use case wise, not such a big thing. AI now, we are seeing a lot of use cases, and I would say, so every retailer, every company should somehow understand how AI is going to impact their businesses. But that's my view. For companies, all the new stuff is they are bombarded with in the media, even from experts like us. It's very hard to figure out where they should invest time in. Should they create the next NFT for, I don't know, retail apes or so? Today we know was a bad idea, so there was no real sticky use case around it. But maybe 2 years ago, you were on a panel saying you have to invest in that. So how do you differentiate? How do you make it measurable?
To start with, I think that you used a word that is very true: differentiate. And it's very much about that. And if we look at retail and then especially e-commerce, what we've been talking about for years is A/B testing or split testing, because we don't know. Even though we invent this amazing solution that we as a company personally believe in, it doesn't mean that the audience, the market, the consumers pick it up and agree on the same idea. And that is why whatever you do, you should not do just one thing. You should try to do micro impressions and track the impact of those different initiatives and see which is it that our audience, if that is consumers or if that is systems or anything else, actually find valuable.
But where would you start? You're now in this business and consulting, in the consulting business, helping other companies for decades.
Yes,
most likely. And what I found out is that it's easy to say, do A/B tests, do it small, just try to find out what your customers want. But those new developments, they're coming like a big wave, and it's very hard to figure out where to start. So, have you seen a smart approach to that problem?
In many companies, we are worried about how we treat customer data. So don't get stuck in those situations and try to solve this big riddle of how to actually handle this massive amount of information that you get from your consumers. So instead, try to look at the small things to make it more convenient to touch on AI integrations in your systems and so on. For example, just to make it more friendly in a way internally in your company, maybe the first step is to have an AI bot that is trained on all the public information on your website and see if that bot can answer some 50% of your support questions.
And have you seen this already? It sounds smart.
Yes.
Because, I'm running a software than your business. So, and I would suggest our product marketing material must be like sensational. At least we believe it is.
Yes.
So would you believe that an AI bot trained with our white papers, our documents from the academy, how to use Spryker, our use cases from customers, this could answer a question like, what are the B2B use cases Spryker can serve best in Africa? Stuff like this?
Yeah. So with NLP, natural language processing, the AI don't get stuck in what we talk about as FAQ, frequently asked questions. Because the AI actually understands how the sentence is built up and can extract information and re-present it in a new tailored way that fits whoever is on the other side of that conversation. So as the AI scrape your website, you can ask the AI to create an FAQ. And with that FAQ material, it basically have the answers to the questions that the AI believe will be the most frequently asked questions. But instead of posting them over to a web page that is kind of boring, keep it into a conversational mode. And you will see that this is a very effective way of starting your journey towards understanding how to make it more easy for you as a company to work with AI.
From like 10 companies you have advised in the last couple of weeks about this topic, how many have successfully adapted this approach?
Yeah, so this approach is adapted by 2 companies that I've been working with. And the thing is that, as I say, this is not going to solve your support stack. This is not going to solve everything connected to support. This is basically just for your organizations to start to understand how to have a conversation with an NLP and create your own tailored solution that fits your platform. If we then, on the other hand, talk about marketing, then the marketing team can use different AI tools to actually create the message or the messaging and the format that fits your brand, and do it in a million different alternatives in no time whatsoever. And that speed things up. It makes it easier. But then at the very end, it's still you who needs to decide, okay, out of these 1,000 suggestions, I approve of these 100 to be used and push that out, and let's see what result we get.
Yeah. So to my question, I would have in this area is, do we have the culture in the companies in the Western world to adapt fast enough? And I give you like one example. As I said, like in the pre-talk, I'm just coming back from a conference in Germany, where I shared like one of my main theses for this year, and it feels like the e-commerce companies we've seen growing over the last 10, 15 years, which we all adored, like the Zalandos, the ASOSes, the Zapporos, the Amazons of this world, seem to have like a very hard time to adapt these new technologies, especially AI, which led me to the quote saying that the Zalando is like the new Karstadt, or like in Spain, Zalando is the new Corte Inglés just without escalators, which created kind of a small uproar in the community because last 15 years, this was a company we kind of adored. And now we see Chinese companies, Temu, Shein, Alibaba with Trendyol in Turkey, which are so much better in adapting those approaches, especially using artificial intelligence in their social commerce initiatives, that everything we see at our adored companies seem to be super, 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 super slow. What's your view here? Do you have a more optimistic view on our adaptability here in the market?
Yeah, to start with, I totally agree. And it's not super, super slow. It's at a standstill if we compare the two. They're Corte Inglés and similar companies. For me as a consumer, it looks like nothing is happening. I know that Corte Inglés is working very, very much on trying to get back on track and understand how they can interact with the new expectations. Because as a consumer, I have I have more expectations on a company like Kortingles, or in the customer journey. I want to feel the support. I want to feel that the user interface is connected to me as an individual, and not that I get the same product recommendations as everyone else that looked at these pair of shoes and whatever it might be. And just as you say, the big companies do struggle with this. And the solution is not to try to rebuild your current environment and launch something that is an improved platform based on your current setup, because we're long gone. We have passed in the last year, the speed of change has sped up so much. So what we are talking about now is to actually have AI-driven CMS interactions that actually create a unique customer journey for me based on all the information that is gathered around me, but that is also simulated based on the profile that I, during my browsing period at the site, start to show to the platform.
Yeah, I understand that. And for the listeners that are not so familiar with Kortingles is kind of the Karstadt Kaufhof of Spain. I would say it's kind of a mixture. It's kind of a department. It's the main department store concept in Spain. Yes. And yes, I agree with your statement. It's compared to Chinese companies, it looks more like a standstill. Yep. But let's assume you're hired as a new CEO or CIO at Kortingles tomorrow. I don't know where they're headquartered. I guess in Madrid or Marbella. So what would be your what's kind of your 90-60-30 or 30-60-90 plan to get things up to speed, to change the standstill situation?
I would create 3 different customer journeys toward 3 different personas as separate platforms. And then I would say that these platforms should merge in, I don't know, let's say a year. But for now, we are developing these platforms from scratch, specifically for this type of individual, this persona. And we are trying to use our product database, but we are processing the presentation through an AI layer, so that if that is the same shoe that are presented to these 3 different persona platforms, if we may call it that, the AI will process whatever content it is and present it with the information that we have about that persona.
Can you get a bit more into detail? What does it mean, 3 different platforms? It's like a new front end. It's not Kortingles. It's let's say it's Kort Karl. Yeah, it's one persona. Kort Karl.es. So what will it show? How do you select the right persona?
Yeah, so I think it's based on the massive amount of information that Kortingles already collect on their customers. It wouldn't be too difficult to use, for example, their membership club and just see where do we have 3 different segments of individuals, and how can we create something that is of value, not just to separate them into 3 different buckets, but actually, okay, so if this is, let's say, age-wise, okay, the consumers that are between 10 and 25. And then you have the consumer between 25 and 35, and then we have the 35 and up, just as example. But it could also be location-wise, living in a really big city compared to living in a smaller city compared to living in a very small city or a town.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I understand. So separation of the personas, I understand. But then you need a different front end per persona, or a different assortment, or a different service, or different prices. So how would you?
Yeah, prices would probably, we would add some sort of flexibility to show that we are trying to tailor something towards this persona. the front end would be totally different. But the front end would just be a layer connected to the same data in the background. But we have, let's say, an interpreter in between the data and the front end that tailor the text information so that it's tailored towards this customer demographics, or whatever we like to call it, like this individual that we try to target. And we use other words. We use fresh instead of nice, and things like that. And then we use other tools to reprocess images. Like if we look at sneakers again, for a younger customer group, the photos might need some nice flashy background, and the angle might need to be updated, and the light needs to come from the angle and not just straight on. With AI tools, we can do this today, and we can do it on the fly.
And how much of this project can be done or decided by AI? Can I ask an AI and say, please give me the three main personas for Cod in Class based on their membership card system? Can I ask something like this?
Yeah, definitely.
ChatGPT or so?
Yeah, definitely. And the importance here is to protect your information, because ChatGPT, as you're probably aware of, Italy banned ChatGPT, and that was connected to GDPR, and that whatever information you put into ChatGPT, it can be used as training data, so that this information that you share with ChatGPT might show up in another conversation because it's been used as training data.
Yeah.
But as a response to this, OpenAI have said that we are in the autumn this year planning to launch a private mode for corporates, so that whatever information you input can actually be deleted or owned by you. And there is already a private mode for individuals in ChatGPT, so that you can have a conversation that is not used as training data.
Okay, and now we're gonna meet, like as we said, in a couple of weeks in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and I guess you have looked into some cases of the Middle East region. Do you believe, or do you see that this region is more advanced when it comes to e-commerce or e-commerce related services compared to Europe?
I would say that this region is more in the forefront. They don't have the history that Europe have. Like, we were quite early in terms of adopting into a digital way of life, if we may call it. But Saudi are now really, really pushing on innovation. I was there just a couple of weeks ago and did a keynote at another huge event. And it's quite amazing to see how Saudi is really empowering the population to drive innovation, and that they really focus on the younger generation to make sure that they are the leaders of tomorrow.
And do you believe that can work compared to what we are seeing in Western Europe? Because what I see, like in the region, is that you have a much better access to affordable workers in this kind of gig economy. So you have like super apps like Kareem, for example.
Yes.
And where you can order everything every time, kind of every services. Yes. I'd like to have like I don't know, a dog massage service at my home tomorrow, 10 a.m. And there might be like 3 people offering the service like for different prices, and I can pick the one with the best reviews. Yeah. Yes. Stuff like this is not possible anymore in the most of the Western countries because of the, which is something we want to get to as a society, like stable, similar incomes. But obviously it's a situation that nobody wants to get to your house anymore, giving your dog a massage, which is different, obviously, in the region or in the most parts of the world. Do you think this kind of inequality, and it's not negative inequality, it's just like the pure fact that the economy is growing so fast. Do you think this renders an advantage for the region, coming up with like better services, more intelligent services in the future?
Yes, of course. When it's easier to find people that can work with you for whatever idea it is that you have, that's going to be a helping hand. But I think that the big difference is that the support that companies and entrepreneurs are being given by authorities is quite different. Mm-hmm. There is a tremendous support, but it's up to each individual to make use of that support. Mm-hmm. It's not that here's a bucket of gold and now you're wealthy for the rest of your life. It's here is opportunities for you to develop yourself and to make something out of it.
Okay. When it comes to AI, what would you recommend a young worker today? Let's say 2-3 years, like work experience, could be job in content marketing, could be job in product management, could be developer. But now AI enters the playing field. So, what's your main advice here?
The main advice for anyone is to start using it, and don't limit yourself to just ChatGPT, because if you check news, it's sort of all the news are about ChatGPT and a little bit about image manipulation. But there are so many more tools out there that you can find value in based on what it is that you're doing. If you're a philosopher or if you're a mechanic, and there are opportunities that are created every day by connecting these different tools.
What are your top 3 tools apart from ChatGPT and Midjourney, which is the image enhancement tool you're referring to? What tools are you using, not on a daily basis, but like from time to time?
So I do use Discord. No, sorry, not Discord. Yeah, I use Discord a lot because Discord is sort of one platform that controls many platforms. Not just Midjourney, but many other, like Adobe and so on. So there are many different opportunities connected to these other platforms. And sorry, I'm not answering your question straight away. But what I see right now is, like, for example, the App Store that OpenAI will launch, that we already see with plugins in ChatGPT. I think that this is definitely the future. We will not have to care about which tools we choose to use, because the AI front end that we choose to use will know how to connect the different tools together to get the output that I, as a prompt designer, expect. So I look at between 5 and 8 new AI tools every day.
Every day? How do you do that? Okay.
Yeah. I obviously, as a professional speaker on the topic of AI, I need to stay ahead of the game. So I do look into different tools every day to see where
what was it last week? Moving. Give me like one name. You say you have to look into this or that, Alex. It's going to change your life.
Okay. So I've been looking quite much into social media engagement tools, and I've been looking at video editing tools in the AI space, and I find that super interesting. And I'm just looking at my notes here.
Yeah. I'm waiting. I will fill out the registration form like right away when you come up with the name.
Yeah. So I started to look at GetSleek.ai.
GetSleek.ai. Yeah. Okay, let me type it in here. GetSleek.ai. Mm-hmm.
And that is on my to-do list for later today. So I have not actually started to use it yet. Mm. There is another interesting one that I have on my to-do list for today, and it's nowpitchlane.com.
Nowpitchlane.
Yeah.
I will look into that. I will put the links in the show note. Now Pitchlane. Sales reps record outreach video menu. Sales pros automate with Pitchlane. Even more bad BDR inbound requests on LinkedIn. Yeah. It's crazy.
But companies are always looking to improve their sales funnel. Mm. And this is very interesting because I personally believe that sales should not be done through advertising. It should be done by understanding customers and then present the need where there is a need.
Yeah.
Not create the need.
Yeah. Got it.
And with AI, I believe that we can analyze when the exact right time is to present the solution for that particular thing, whatever it might be, so that you add value rather than try to pressure your product or push your product at a buyer.
No. Okay. Got it. So, what's going to be your main? Maybe you can give like you can give like an outlook in what you're talking about in Riyadh. What's going to be the title of the presentation we're going to hear from you in Riyadh? Do you know already, or will this be something AI optimized title wise?
No, I don't use AI to optimize or to create my presentation, but I do use AI to create the content, the images. And when I do my presentations, I have a special style for my keynote presentations. So about 40 to 60% of the images that I use are AI generated. And the rest is real photos that maybe I even snap with my camera phone just to make it more connected to reality as well. Like everything should not be perfect.
Okay. But is there like one key takeaway you can already, you can lift here in the podcast? You will talk about at the keynote?
So it's going to address how to create innovation and how to embed this within your company's culture. And just going through a different set of tools and methods to create that opportunity. Because what I have seen the last year or so is that companies really want, but they are really afraid of how to use AI in their organizations.
Okay, so we can lose some anxiety on AI in Riyadh. I think it's 4th and 5th of September. We're gonna meet there, so make sure not to miss Karl's presentation. And thank you for giving us a head start in this topic here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karl.
Thank you.